To this day, it is still unclear when the construction of the Pantheon was initiated. It is known that 2 Pantheons stood before this one. The original Pantheon was built by Marcus Agrippa and completed by 26 BC. Unfortunately, in 80 AD, it was destroyed by fire. Immediately after, Domitian began to construct the second Pantheon. Sadly, in 110 AD, it was struck by lightning and burnt down again. It is believed that between the years 118 through 128, Emperor Hadrian decided to rebuild the Pantheon for the 3rd time. Luckily, this building didn't get destroyed and still stands with us, receiving over 7 million visitors each year. Information on both of these 2 first Pantheons is very limited, since very little was written about them before their destruction. We rely heavily on the accounts of Appian and Suetonius. Based on Appian's account, statues of Venus, Mars, and Julius Caesar stood in the interior of the building. In this image, we can see where the statue of Mars would have been placed, which is by the entrance. In the exterior of the building stood angels, and in the pronouns stood statues of Agrippa and Augustus. In this image, we can see where the statues of the gods would have been placed. And in this other image, we can see that not much has changed, and the church has only replaced the statues of the gods with statues of Mary, Jesus, and other saints. As we turn our eyes towards the Pantheon, we see this inscription, which translates to Marcus Agrippa, the son of Lucius, 3 times consul, built this. Even though we're all aware that this Pantheon was constructed by Hadrian, it is uncertain why Hadrian decided to keep the original inscriptions by Agrippa. The original building was built for Augustus by Agrippa to honor his military victory at the Battle of Actium. This was a significant battle between Augustus and Mark Antony because it defined Rome as an empire, with Augustus becoming their first Roman emperor. During the construction of the first Pantheon, Agrippa wished to place a statue of Augustus next to Mars and Venus, but Augustus quickly rejected this offer. So instead, this led Agrippa to place a statue of Julius Caesar next to the gods instead. Respecting Augustus' decision to not be placed next to the gods, he decided to place the statue of Augustus and himself in the pronouns. In this image, we can see how the statue of Augustus would have looked like and where it would have been placed in the pronouns. And in this other image, we can see how the statue of Agrippa would have looked like. Even though the Pantheon was built for Augustus, it served as a house for the gods, which is why it's named Pantheon, because it derives from the Greek words pan and theos, pan meaning all and theos meaning gods. During the Middle Ages, Emperor Phocas gave the Pantheon to the church and was immediately converted to Church of Sancta Maria and has remained that way ever since. During this period, a few alterations took place. In this video, we can see how big the dome is, and during its initial years, it was all covered with bronze, the interior and the exterior, but during this time, all the bronze was removed. Another noticeable change that the church made with the Pantheon is that they added these 2 bell towers on top of the Pantheon. In this picture or drawing, we can see that the 2 bell towers were placed on top of the pediment. It did receive a lot of criticism, being called the donkey ears of the Pantheon, and in the 19th century, Pope Pius IV decided to remove them. The materials that were used for the construction of this new Pantheon were mainly concrete, brick, and white marble. For the construction of the 3rd Pantheon, the Romans decided to take a different approach and adopt a new high-quality concrete, which was made of water, sand, and a mixture of quicklime. It's been said that the reason why the Pantheon still stands with us today is due to the change in concrete the Romans decided to use while making the 3rd Pantheon. They also decided to make the dome thinner at the top for weight reduction. In this illustration, we can see the three different sections the Pantheon consists of. The portico is outlined in red, which is the entrance to the Pantheon. The rotunda is outlined in green, which is where the dome is located. It is also where all the statues stand and the largest part of the Pantheon. And in blue is the rectangular area connecting both the rotunda and the portico together. The portico is made of Greek-style columns, while the rotunda is entirely Roman style, but the shafts are made of Egyptian granite. As for the capital and bases, they were made of Greek marble. Having all these materials imported from different parts of the Roman Empire shows us how powerful and wealthy the Roman Empire was under the Emperor Hadrian.
I am standing in front of the Pantheon, which is one of ancient Rome's most preserved monuments. First, it was established for the Roman gods, and then it was set up as a church. And now it is still a church and a major tourist attraction, as you can see. The stones in the columns are mounted on top of each other, in contrast with the Greek columns, which are cut. The stones were imported from Egypt, which is very symbolic of the power Rome had during these years under the Emperor Hadrian, who was responsible for the construction of the Pantheon.